Sports Talk Chicago. Here for Jon Zaghloul. Great to be back here with you. Jon Zaghloul here. John Meadows directing and producing on the air on all of our great radio and TV affiliates across Illinois and Indiana. WROK 101.1 Peoria Sports Radio. 98.3 The Live, WKAN 105.5 The Ticket, ACTV, JTV, WJOB, and Cities 92.9 Talk FM. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can follow us on social media at Sports Talk Chicago. Subscribe on YouTube as we get close to 19,000 subscribers and counting. Find us at Sports Talk Chicago. Give us a like on all of our videos. And if you missed any part of today's show, don't worry. We podcast everything. You could go back and listen to the whole show in one sitting. You could hear it also by segments. We're in segment 2 right now. So if you missed segment 1, go back, go to sportstalkchicago.com or any of your favorite podcasting platforms and listen for free. We cut it all up and put it out there for you. Easy access and good for you to listen to on your own time, on demand, anytime across the world. So we appreciate everybody being here with us tonight. We had a lot of Bears talk in segment 1. What will the Bears do at number 9? It's going to be a big question. Another reminder to make sure to stay with us next week, Thursday night, round 1 of the draft. We're going to be live on our YouTube channel on Sports Talk Chicago. So you can subscribe. You can watch us. We're going to do a live reaction to the Bears draft. What will they do at number 1? What will they do at number 9 in the first round? We're going to be live on YouTube. So hang out with us. Spend some time with us on your draft night as we give some instant reaction and analysis to what the Bears do. Those top 2 picks. Like I said earlier, I don't think they could go wrong in any which way. So stay with us and let's celebrate together at minimum and also react to what they do and analyze what they do as well. All right, baseball season is in full swing. And the Cubs have done a really good job to start off this year, contrary to the White Sox, which we'll get to later in this show. Oh, man. Cubs have done really well so far. There are a couple of hiccups, a couple of things that we do want to discuss that I think are pressure points. But overall, the Cubs are doing great. They just went 5-4 on a West Coast road trip. Very good for early in the season with some liabilities they still need to work on. Right now, their odds, albeit early, are 75% to make the postseason, which makes sense. And they have a couple of guys who we frankly did not expect to do good doing well. A couple of guys who I thought would do well aren't doing well. But overall, this team is already clicking. Ian Happ's breaking out of a slump. Michael Busch has been unbelievable, to say the least. I feel bad for Matt Mervis in a sense. I know everybody's waiting on Matt Mervis, and last year he turned out to just not really do anything at first base at the major league level. Well, Michael Busch might have taken over his position permanently, I'll tell you that. Michael Busch, at 26 years old, as a rookie, already has 6 home runs in 17 games. He's hitting .304. You know what it reminds me of, Cubs fans? You may know this. Remember Brian LaHair and then Anthony Rizzo? 2012, Brian LaHair got the call up, and the first half of the season, he actually made the All-Star team. He was that good in 2012. Then the second half, he just regressed unbelievably so. By the end of the year, he wasn't even on the team anymore. And then Anthony Rizzo got called up in 2013, and the rest was history. Feels like the same thing to me right here now. Matt Mervis was supposed to be the guy. Matt Mervis has crushed AAA pitching for the majority of his professional career. But at the major league level, he cannot get it done. And now Michael Busch comes around. He has 6 homers in 17 games. If this keeps up, Matt Mervis is going to be an afterthought for the Cubs. And Michael Busch is going to be the guy at first base moving forward. It's well-deserved if he continues at this pace, which I don't see why he wouldn't. I don't see why he wouldn't. Javier Assad's done great in 3 starts. How about Shota Umanga, huh? 0 ERA through 3 starts. Everybody was so mad the Cubs didn't get Shohei. What are they doing? You know what? They got Shota Umanga, and he's been outstanding so far. They didn't get Yamamoto. What are they doing? They got Umanga, and they're going to be okay. And Umanga's been great. 30-year-old, technically a rookie, 2-0 record already, 0 ERA, 15 1/3 innings pitched, only 9 hits, 0 runs, 16 strikeouts. He has been outstanding. Lived up to every penny the Cubs have paid him, and they've got him for a while, too. I hope it continues, and I don't see why it wouldn't with the way he's pitching. And Javier Assad's been great, which is not a surprise. He was good last year down the stretch, and he's keeping it up right now. He came through big time for the Cubs down the stretch last year. It was almost solely because of him at one point that they were even in the playoff race down the stretch later in the season, thanks to him. Now, I want to start, of course, with all these positives because there are some negatives we got to kind of talk about. Not too many, but only a couple. I know Joey covered this in his last program, and I got to cover it again because it just gets worse. Kyle Hendricks is just not good anymore, and I don't know why. Well, I kind of know why. I mean, when you only throw 85 miles per hour on your fastball and you're just leaving it over the plate, of course you're going to get rocked. Hendricks has been a shell of himself pretty much ever since, 2018 we'll call it? I mean, he had that great year in 2016, which I remember. Should have won the Cy Young that year, in my opinion. Led the league in ERA, 2.13. But ever since then, it's been an up and down struggle. And specifically, from 2021 to 2024, it's been outright atrocious. In 21 and 22, his ERAs have been right around 4.8. And this year, as of this taping, it's 12.71. That's his ERA. 24 earned runs given up in 17 innings pitched, only 11 strikeouts. 7 home runs given up in 17 innings pitched. That leads the league. 17 innings and 7 home runs given up. At that pace, he's going to give up like 40 this year, minimum. He's 34 years old. He's older. I don't know what they're going to do with him. See, the problem is, too, it's not like he has electric enough stuff to where you could say, you know what, we'll just put him in the bullpen. Not like the Michael Kopech situation where, wow, he throws 100 miles per hour. He's not a good starter. We'll put him a closer. He'll be good. You can't make Kyle Hendricks a closer, and you can't even make him a setup guy. He throws too slow. So I don't know what the answer to this is going to be long-term for the Cubs. They could maybe make him like a swingman / long reliever and come in. I could see that. Maybe, Cubs up a starter and they can't last long. You put in Hendricks and he kind of fills the gap from innings, let's say 4 to 7-ish. I mean, that could be done. But even then, if he's not effective now, what's going to make him effective coming out of the bullpen? It's not like it's he can only last 1 inning type thing. No, he can't last at all. And he throws 85 miles per hour. So I don't know what the solution is going to be for him long term. And as Joey said, I get it. He's a Cubs legend. He is. And he did so many great things in 2016. But he is the last player on this team who was here in 2016. This is my suggestion. People are going to get angry, just like they did when I said this for Wilson Contreras and Rizzo and Bryant, who, by the way, Chris Bryant on the IL again. He cannot stay healthy, and the Rockies are paying him big bucks to do nothing. And then Javier Baez is in like $1.25. But my point is, at the time I said it, and it was proven right, I'm going to say it again now about Kyle Hendricks. At some point, the current performance of these legends has to outweigh their legendary status. At some point, the Cubs have to say, Kyle, we love you. You're always going to be a welcome member of this Cubs family, but you are not performing, and we've got to get rid of you. We've got to cut the tie. I can't imagine them finding a trade partner. Maybe they could designate him for assignment or something, get rid of him. But this is not going to work anymore. This is not going to work. And they'll give him probably a couple of more starts. It's like the Jake Arrieta thing. Remember when the Cubs signed Jake Arrieta again to that 1-year deal a couple of years back? His ERA was like 8. Then they traded him to the Padres. His ERA was like 6. Then he retired. Okay. Arrieta had the wherewithal to understand, okay, I'm not as effective as I was 10 years ago. It's time for me to call it quits. And he had a great career. Nobody's mad at him or nobody thought anything different of him, and now he's doing media. That's great. Kyle Hendricks is teetering in that direction right now if something doesn't change. Because I'll tell you what, a 13 ERA is not going to be sustainable. 7 home runs given up in 17 innings. It's not going to be sustainable. 24 earned runs in 17 innings is definitely not going to be sustainable. He's 0-2. His ERA plus is 35. That's got to be one of the worst marks in baseball right now. Granted, we're only a couple of starts in, but still, that's bad. I don't know what the end result's going to be, but If I were Jed Hoyer and Carter Hawkins and I'm assessing this situation, I would look back to what I did before. Because what people fail to understand or fail to remember is that it was Jed Hoyer who made the quote-unquote tough call, which it was really elementary at that point, to get rid of Baez and Bryant and Rizzo. He did it. Contreras, too. He did it. He made that choice. Schwarber, he made that choice. And you know what? It's worked out. Because the Cubs today are 10-7. The Cubs today are a legitimate playoff caliber team, and they're moving in the right direction. And if they had kept all of those old players and hung on to their legendary status, they would not be where they are today. I can guarantee you that. So Jed Hoyer's done it before. He puts business over personal relationships time and time again. He just did it this past offseason. Hired Craig Counsell, got rid of David Ross. Grandpa Rossi, gone. So he's done this time and time again since he's been promoted. And I think he's going to have to do it again eventually here with Hendricks if things don't get better. Realistically assess this situation. If he can't succeed as a starter, throwing 85 miles per hour, he won't be a closer, and he barely could be a long reliever. How could he do long relief if he can't even start? So this is just a really bad situation for all parties involved. And if I were Hendricks, I would also, hopefully, have the self-realization that, hey, maybe I don't have that extra oomph on my pitches as I did before. He was never a hard thrower, but he had so much movement that made him nasty. And he has to realize that maybe the game has passed me by. Maybe I'm just not as effective as I once was. And that's okay. I respect Kyle Hendricks for everything that he did in the past. He was a great pitcher, but he's not anymore. And the Cubs and Hendricks have to come to a decision here soon on what his future is going to be, because right now, it's not looking good. The same, ironically enough, at least for now, at closer. And I thought really that after last season, Adbert Alzolay was going to be the guy for them to close out games. There was going to be no question. Not anymore. Adbert Alzolay has blown 3 saves already. He's given up 3 home runs in 8 innings pitched. That's just as bad as Hendricks. Now, he's still been electric when he hasn't given up and blown those 3 saves. I mean, his ERA is 3.12. You wouldn't think much of it, but there's a problem here, and that has to be corrected over time. Now, I think they're going to continue to give Alzolay opportunities for now because I don't really know who your backup closer would be. You know, it'd be a closer by committee situation until you figured it all out. But I will say this. I'm going to wait to fully declare it, but right now, Alzolay's on track to be a bust. You could get mad, all the Cubs fans could get angry, but it's the truth. Alzolay was supposed to be a top-tier starter for this team. You all remember it. I do too. They drafted him. They developed him to be a starting pitcher, and he was an abject failure. He couldn't start. His ERA was like 5 in the 1 year that he started full-time. Jed Hoyer had the idea to move him to the bullpen. And it looked like that worked. Seriously, last year, I could not be more happy for Alzolay. It looked like he reinvented himself. He made a second career for himself, and he may not be a bust. Because if he turned out to be a good closer for 10 years, I'll take all my words back. But now he's having problems closing games. Now, they could relegate Alzolay to put him in low-leverage situations and make him a middle reliever. That's fine if they do. They're not going to cut him. He is talented. He has a really hard fastball, got some good movement. No doubt about that. We're probably going to have to relegate him eventually if things don't get better. And then at that point, it's just going to be another random arm on the shelf, if you will, for this team until he ends up getting traded or ends up getting released. And that's fine if that's the case. But by that point, he'd be a certified bust. I don't know what the issue is with Alzolay. I'm not sure why he is just being as ineffective compared to before. But the facts are he's blown 3 saves already. And that's on him. Not on Craig Counsell, not on the Cubs, not on Jed Hoyer. It's on him specifically. He is not performing when the Cubs put him in situations in which they trust him to perform in, right? He won the closer job fair and square last year as the season went on. And this year was just expected. Yep, he's the closer. Well, now he can't close games. So I don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't know how they're going to approach that situation. But it's certainly a concern. Certainly a concern. So the Cubs have a couple of problems, right? Not everything's perfect, but it's early. 20 games in, right? They have time to figure out what they're going to do and how they're going to look. So I'm not causing any concern. I'm not saying they suck. I'm not going to go after them. That's not what I'm doing here, but I'm just pointing out the obvious. There are two big problems they have right now that need to be corrected by mid-year at least. Hopefully sooner. And I think it will be sooner, at least for the Hendricks situation for sure. If Kyle Hendricks is still putting up a 12 ERA in May, we're going to have an issue. And if Adbert Alzolay is still blowing saves and has like 7 blown saves in May, we're going to have another issue there too. Those two things need to be corrected if the Cubs want to do something significant this year. Other than that, I got no complaints. They're doing fine. So we'll see how they address those situations. Other than that, though, you know what? Not bad.